Katz is the owner of Great Officiants. We kid each other a lot, but I am a huge fan of Alan Katz because he is an incredible business mind. His network of 35 officiants work for Great Officiants, serves the Southern California area. He owns a boutique wedding chapel. That's right, people can get married at his chapel. 24/7. He has received phone calls at 2 in the morning and gone and married somebody at his chapel. He has beach weddings. In Southern California, there's beach all the way up and down the coast, right? So he's the one that figured out what the permits were, and he's got a crew, and he'll set up chairs and an arch and whatever, and he's got beach weddings. Did I mention he's a good business mind? He issues marriage licenses in Los Angeles County. The clerk recorder who issues those licenses will authorize certain people to sell one type of marriage license outside of the government office. Now they have to go buy them, but then they can sell them, and you have to have a special authorization to do that, and Alan has that, and many of his officiants have that as well, and I have used their company many times. They're very reliable. It's just another income stream. He's on the preferred vendors list of almost 100 venues. His company has over 1,500 online reviews, over 1,300 weddings this year. Let me say that again. He's booked, and his company will perform over 1,300 weddings this calendar year. Please welcome the winner of the Trendsetter of the Year Award, Alan Katz.
So hi everybody, my name's Alan. Say hi, Alan.
Hi, Alan.
Well, that's actually how I start every one of my ceremonies. I want to make sure everybody knows who I am. A ceremony is about celebration. A ceremony is about celebration of what makes every couple tick. And every couple has a different way about them. A different thing that's important, like you were saying in yours. You find out what there is important to them and bring that into the ceremony. Our job as officiants is to make sure that your couples understand what your process is in doing this, but also understand their process and their feelings and what's important to their families. So your job is quite simple, is to design this ceremony. So every ceremony needs to be inclusive of both sides, especially in an interfaith ceremony. You can't just start off the ceremony. If it's a Jewish and a Christian ceremony together, you can't just do all Jewish because the Christians are going to start going, really? Where's my part? The Jews are going to go, where's my part? You have to be inclusive of what they want. And try not to favor one side over the other. People get to notice this really quickly. If you all of a sudden, God, and oh yeah, Buddha, they're going to notice that, and they're going to come up and rub my belly at the end of the ceremony. You also want to point out the differences in the two belief systems. There's a lot of differences in belief systems, and you want to point out where this couple has come from different points in life together, different belief systems, and how they're going to integrate together in their life together and go forward. You also want everyone to get something out of that ceremony. Whether it's laughter, whether it's belief, whether it's a calm feeling or a better understanding of that couple, you want every guest at that wedding to walk away going, wow, I got something out of that ceremony. I felt good. And now, you know what time it is? It's party time. Because again, what we said earlier, we are setting the tone for the rest of the day. And if we do a ceremony where we're gathered here today, blah, 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 you know, like you see in the movies, right? The boring old ceremonies. Then what are the people going to do when they're going to the reception? I need a beer. I need a beer. No, we want people to walk away from the ceremony going, that was the best darn ceremony I've ever seen. Now let's party. And that's where you got to get somebody to get everything out. And know that there's going to be some people who are not happy with the ceremony you deliver. I've delivered interfaith ceremonies and grandmas come up to me, you know, you didn't mention Moses. Really? Somebody's going to find something wrong with everyone. So you have to be as inclusive as possible to try to make everybody feel good about what they're doing. So there's the design of the ceremony. Every ceremony, no matter whether it's religious or non-religious, has these 4 items. The vows, the I do's, the rings, and the kiss. I call it the vert. And this is what I tell my couples all the time. Our job is to figure out what's going to work best for them. Whether they're going to do their own vows, whether they're going to do specialized I-dos, how to put the rings on. We go through the vert. But with an interface ceremony, there's the things that are going to go in between. What prayers are you going to say? What elements of that ceremony are you going to include to make everybody feel special? To incorporate that in there without alienating everyone. So let's talk about a Christian and Catholic ceremony. Now, I tell my couples this, and you may feel differently. I'm a very specialized officiant. I'm open to everyone. But if you're not doing the wedding in a church, a Christian and Catholic ceremony are very similar. It's the same guy upstairs, okay? It's the Jewish God, the Christian guy, the Catholic guy, it's the same guy. Alright? So as long as you put some prayers, some passages from the Bible, none of the relatives are going to have a problem with that. They're not going to say, oh, that was too Christian, no, that was too Catholic. If you mention God in a way that the couple wants you to, everybody's going to be happy. You know what I'm saying, right? Right. You don't have to do, and let's bless the Virgin Mary. Mary, come on up. It's not going to be that way. You don't have to have everything in it. You want to include the appropriate prayers. A generic prayer you can put at the end. No matter what it is, if they want some little bit of a ceremony, a religion in their ceremony, all you need to do, if they want, is put a single prayer right at the end. And then all the people who are having a problem with, oh, this isn't in the church, they're going to hear God's name at the end, and it's going to be okay. I had this one wedding. You know what I mean, right? I'm totally relating to this because I had this one wedding where the father, they were doing kind of a vampire-ish, vampira wedding, right? They were all in cloaks, and the father comes up to me and he goes, you know, I can't get behind this, I'm a Christian evangelist, and they're standing up there, and they're vampires, and they're heathens, I don't know if I can get behind this wedding. And so I go, sir, I go, is the Lord present? Do you believe in the Lord? And he's like, yes. I go, well, so no matter what I say at the word, the Lord is up there, right? And he's like, yeah. I go, well, then it doesn't matter what we say at the ceremony, because if he's there, he's blessing the ceremony, even though we don't say it. And he thought about it. He goes, you know, you're right. And I go, now put your hands up. And he put it, you know how the Christian evangelists do, if there's one here, I can promise not to insult you, but they put their hands up, and I go, now go like this. I go like this, I go, you just raise the roof. And he started laughing, he goes, you know what, let's get on with the ceremony. And he was the happiest guy, he thought it was the best. So, Jewish and Christian and Catholic ceremonies. One thing that's very important, don't mention the J-man's name. If you're doing a Jewish-Christian ceremony, and all of a sudden you go, and the Lord Jesus was walking down the street, and he said to me, the Jews are going to spontaneously ignite. They are going to start to shake, and they don't know what to do. So you got to make sure that you are sensitive to this type of thing. So use generic references to God. Use the Lord, our God. But if you talk about Jesus, the Jews are going to start to freak out. Okay? And I've seen this in wedding ceremonies. I've watched interfaith ceremonies happen, and you see it. Bethel, you've seen this before, right? Exactly. So what you want to do is you want to put some generic God, like 1 Corinthians in there. Okay? A Jew doesn't know what a Corinthian is. Okay? I don't know what a Corinthian is. I'm a Jew, but I can say it in a ceremony, and the Christians will know what it is. It's a passage that they recognize, and it's something they can feel happy with. You can include the glass crush in there. You can do the 7 blessings. You can do the toast. What's great about a Jewish-Christian ceremony is everything that's based on Jewish ceremonies is also believed by Christians because it's the Old Testament. So you can get away with a lot more Jewishness because the wine toast, you can do it in Hebrew. It's something that Jesus did at the Last Supper. Okay? These are things that you can incorporate into the ceremony that don't make the Christians upset, that they can get behind because it's part of the Old Testament. It's something that they believe in. And also, explain the different elements if you're using a chuppah or a ketubah. How many of you know what a ketubah is? You play it like a trumpet, right? So a lot of times they'll sign the ketubah before the ceremony. They'll get it all signed in the back room. Right? I actually want to bring that out sometimes into the ceremony to explain what the signing the ketubah means. To show people, hey, this is a faith-based ceremony based on this couple's faith and their belief in one another. And this ketubah says that for them. And if they do that, have them go to a really good service like myrabbisketubah.com. My friend Rabbi Mary owns that company, she can go there. But get one that's customized that tells their story. The chuppah, you're standing under a chuppah. Sometimes an arch is a chuppah. Anything can be a chuppah, right? You tell anybody, yeah, that's the chuppah. The Jews will understand. Okay? But you explain, the chuppah is there to represent that there's somebody above us. That it represents the home. They're coming home. This is their home with one another. And all of their people who are there, they're part of their home. And this is their coming home ceremony. So, Filipino ceremonies. I do a lot of Filipino ceremonies. Okay? Yes. No, it will start late. Okay, you all heard of Filipino time? It is bad. So I tell my couples, if the wedding starts at 5 o'clock on Friday night, tell your guests to be there at 3 o'clock on Thursday. You want to make sure that everybody understands that you got to get them there early. Get a barong. Does everybody know what a barong is? A barong is a formal attire in the Philippines. It's this wonderful cloth, sometimes made out of pineapple fiber. But if you show up wearing a barong, all the Filipino people go, oh my God, that guy's wearing a barong. I'm known as the white guy who wears the barong, okay? They'll come up to me and they'll say, oh, you're the white guy who wears the barong, all right? It will make that little ceremony element so very special. The cord, veil, and coins. Now, how many people have never done a Filipino ceremony? Okay. So a Filipino ceremony is very special. It's kind of a combination between a Catholic type ceremony and many other ceremonies combined. But the cord, veil, and coin is something that's particularly Filipino. In the church, the couple gets down, they kneel before the priest, and they put this veil over them, they put this cord around their head, they exchange these coins. And I'm like, look, at my weddings, nobody's gonna kneel in front of me unless I'm dating them, okay? So, I never have couples kneel anytime during It's an old joke, but it goes over well. Everything that we're doing in our ceremony is for one particular purpose, other than the ceremony. It's for the pictures, okay? Because once they walk down that aisle and walk back, they are not going to remember a thing. So everything we do in the ceremony is so they get the best possible pictures. So when they do that, I want to have chairs placed at the front of the aisle, brought up, facing the audience. Otherwise, if they're facing me, what is everybody and what is the photographer going to see? The back of their heads. So I want those two chairs placed right in front of one another. The first thing you're going to do once they're seated is you're going to talk about the Filipino tradition of the veil cord and coin. And first, you're going to place the veil across their shoulders. Now make sure if you're doing this, you have pins on either side of the veil, or it'll just keep falling off onto the floor. So you put it over their shoulders. You pin it into the corners of their dress, into their suit, and it stays there. The veil is to represent, like I say, in the Catholic Church, it means something completely different. But I say it represents the two people coming together, but being surrounded by their family and friends. The veil represents their family being there to protect them, to surround them, to help them through life together. And that once the veil is removed, their friends and family are the veil that they have for the rest of their lives. Then you place the lasso, which is in the shape of a figure eight. The figure eight represents infinity. It's their infinite love for one another that's going to go on forever. The cord will actually get thicker as the years go on, so they will never be able to pull apart from one another. And then the coins. It used to be that the men were the breadwinners, the women were the homemakers. That's the way it still is, right? Yeah, no. I say they work together as a team. So they pass them back and forth, and dedicate their mutual respect for one another, the richness of their love, the richness in their hearts, and the richness in their wallets. Is that something that they share equally? And then we take it all off, they stand up, and we return with the ceremony. One of the things you have to make sure is that you have somebody to bring the chairs up and to make it easy. So Buddhist and Asian ceremonies, when you're incorporating that together, a lot of times in the Buddhist ceremonies, in different parts of Asia, they'll do a tea ceremony the day before, or the morning of. Sometimes those days are long for all the wedding planners and everybody involved. The formal tea ceremony represents everybody getting dressed up in their costumes and serving tea to the elders and going through these blessings and all these different things. But some couples don't want to have to go through that whole thing, especially if one is and one isn't Asian. So what I like to do is incorporate that into the ceremony. And you do that with a little tea ceremony during the ceremony. Basically, you'll have a tray. On that tray will be 4 cups and a pot. I have the best man grab the tray, and we walk over to the bride's parents. Walk over to the bride's parents, he pours, she serves. They take a sip of wine as a sign for respect for the parents. I have a whole cool thing written in my vows about what each of the elements means of this part of the ceremony. And it's really cool because it understands the warming of the cups, the tea, the sharing it with the elders. It's a very important thing to incorporate into the ceremony. Then you go over to the groom's side. And she pours, and he serves. And then you come back. What's nice about this is the families now, who are the more traditional ones, at least get that one little aspect that they didn't get with that formal tea ceremony that they're so used to in their culture. And the people who aren't within that culture get to see something that they've never been privy to see. Something that's really cool, that's really interesting and really different. Another thing that I use a Tibetan singing bowl. Have any of you ever seen this? Have any of you ever used this? Isn't it cool? It's this bowl, and you have a little wooden mallet. I was going to bring it, but I decided not to. And you clang the end of it, and then you play it, and it comes up this wonderful tune. It's a symbol of cleansing of the crowd, of renewing the spirit, of clearing away evil spirits or crazy relatives. Back, Jason. Oh, you got it? Yes, exactly. What's nice about it is it makes people realize that there's something special going on here. They're going to experience something different that they've never seen before, and that they've had the opportunity to do this. The red envelope. Who loves the red envelopes? You know what the red envelopes are? In Asian tradition, they give every vendor a little red envelope. And hopefully it has money in it and not a check. I mean, not the bill. So the red envelope is great. When you see that red envelope being passed around, you know, cha-ching, I'm getting a tip. So it's a nice thing to see. Now, camera issues. Now, you touched briefly upon camera issues and the unplugged ceremony. Especially with Asian cultures, they're very interested in cameras. You see everybody with the camera. And I'm not casting aspersions in any way, shape, or form. But what you want to make sure is that everybody understands the photo booth. So when I talk to my couples, I say, let's talk about this part because, again, the most important part is your photography. Right? You know this, right? So if there's people standing in the middle of the aisle, holding their cell phone up as the bride's walking down, you're not going to see anything. So I say, let me make some choices with you. Let's give you 3 choices. Choice number 1, I don't say anything and let people do whatever the heck they want. Choice number 2, I say, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the bride and groom, I ask that you keep your cell phones out of the aisle and below your head and let the photographers do their job. Or option 3, completely unplugged. We ask that everybody put their cell phones away, enjoy the ceremony for the spectacle that it is. No taking pictures during the ceremony. You'll have plenty of time to do that during the reception. Believe me, they'll share all these ceremony pictures with you over and over and over again. You don't need any on your Samsung phone that's going to take a crappy picture. All right? You want a good quality picture, and that's what they want. And who wants that tweeted out before the reception starts? All right? They want the good pictures out there of that day that they spent so much time. I also tell people, and especially this time, I had to start this a couple months ago. There'll be no chasing Pokemon during the ceremony. I have had people actually on their phones chasing Pokemon during the ceremony. I had one guy get up with his phone and is running to capture this Pokemon. So the things we have to change with the times. It also gets a nice laugh because everybody knows about the big Pokemon phenomenon. Hispanic and bilingual ceremony. Do you know anything about Hispanic or bilingual ceremonies? No speak English? But one of the most important things when you are doing a bilingual ceremony is to find out how much lingual they want. Some couples want all Spanish, and if you don't speak all Spanish, you're not going to be able to do it. You speak the all Spanish ceremonies? No. But the worst thing to do is have a ceremony where it's, I take you to be my wife. Yo take two to be el wifo. If you do the same thing every time, every word in one language and then the other, the people who do speak both languages, I'm like, seriously, I really know what that is? For the most part, there's only going to be 2 or 3 people in the audience who may not speak Spanish, and those are the elders. So, you can do a couple things. You can bring people to come up to do readings. Have them come and do a reading in Spanish. Have the couple maybe do their vows to each other, one of them in Spanish. Exactly. And some couples, I had one couple, I don't know how they communicated. She was Czechoslovakian, spoke no English. He was from Argentina, spoke no English. And they didn't understand each other's languages, but they were so in love. So when I talked to them, they spoke a little bit, and I say your vows to each other in your language. It was just a small wedding in my chapel. So they were able to communicate. Boy, they loved each other. And you know what? It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what color you are. It doesn't matter how you feel. If you fall in love with someone, that's the person that you should be with. Also, you can throw in additional prayers. A lot of times I'll do one prayer in English and then have somebody come up and do it in Spanish. Hawaiian ceremonies. I'm a big fan of Hawaiian ceremonies. I do a lot, since I do beach weddings, I do a lot of Hawaiian ceremonies. So when you're doing a Hawaiian ceremony, you don't necessarily have to wear your normal 3-piece suit on the beach. Find out what everybody else is. Everyone's going to be in khakis and a Hawaiian shirt. It's appropriate for you to be that way too. Find out what they want you to wear. The lei exchange is a very important part of this. Now, I got a great story about leis. I'm going to actually tell this. For those of you, I'm speaking 2 more times. Do I have enough time? 5 minutes. I'm speaking 2 more times during the Wedding MBA tomorrow at 2 o'clock, and then Wednesday at 9:30. Right? But this is one of the stories. Everybody was there. Everything was set. We were ready to walk down the aisle, and there's no leis. We need 8 leis, 6 for the kids, 2 for them to exchange, and the lay person didn't show up. So what do? I go to my trunk of wonder. I didn't know that I had this. I went to my trunk of wonder, I opened it up, and I found 8 leis kukui nut combinations in my trunk. I walked in with them on my arm, and I went to the wedding coordinator, and I'm like, you need leis? She freaked out. So make sure you have all the elements that you need for any ceremony, no matter what's going to happen, have that in your car. A sand blending ceremony. Who here has never done a sand ceremony before? All right, so we all know what a sand ceremony is. Incorporate the children if you can. Blowing the conch shell. The conch is a great way to do it, but you have to learn how to blow it. When I used to blow a conch shell, I used to go like a kazoo. But then I found the perfect conch shell, and I practiced a lot, and it makes it. You blow it to the north, to the south, to the east, to the west, clearing the way. Hawaiian is about the voyage that 2 people take together. And you can also do a water purification ceremony, and there's many different versions of that with tea leaves and things like that. You can look them up. Hindu and South Asian ceremonies. You can do they do the Mendi ceremony where they paint the hands with all the wonderful intricate designs. The praying beforehand, you get that involved. And I do this with a lot of both couples, one is and one isn't. Again, bringing up readers, exchanging the garland, which is kind of like a lei exchange, but it has a little bit of a different meaning. The fire ceremony where they set fire into a bucket, and most places, venues may not allow that, so you have to find out whether they'll allow that first. And then the 7 steps, and there's 7 steps. Kind of like the 7 blessings in Jews. Everything is 7 in this world in the religion. I don't know what it is about 7. But there's 7 steps, and you talk about the 7 steps where they'll walk around each other. Muslim and Islamic ceremonies, this can be really confusing for a lot of people, especially these days where there are lots, and I know it's terrible, but there still are a lot of prejudices. People really don't understand how to do this. You want to make sure that you discuss the format with the couple. I did a Muslim and Jewish ceremony. You want to see two people on either sides of the aisle looking at each other? It was tough. You explain to Sofri the table that they have there. If you don't understand it, have somebody come up and explain that. Bring up the readers, that's really important. And I bring a lot of readings from Rumi. Rumi was a great Persian writer with love stories, and there's so many great ones you can incorporate into the ceremony. And the families will love that. If that's the only thing that you bring into it, the families will appreciate it. Japanese and other Asian type of ceremonies. Sake, who likes sake? Who wants to do sake bombs? Okay, we'll do some later, okay? It's a better drink. You can incorporate that into the ceremony. Discuss the attire. Do you want to wear the full kimonos, or do you just want to wear the normal outfits? And again, bring up the readers. In closing, respect the culture. Respect the culture of each one of the couple's families, each one of the couple's personal feelings, and make sure that you understand exactly what they want. If you don't know what they need, look it up. Find out what it's all about. Incorporate that. That's how I learned how to do all this stuff. I didn't know. So I went on the web and I looked up different ceremonies and I recreated them to make my own. And bring everyone together and make it fun. And that's the most important thing. At the end of the day, you want them to walk away, and we keep saying this over and over again, you want them to walk away going, that was the best wedding ever. You want your guests to talk about that. You want that couple to know that they made the best decision in choosing you to do their anniversary. Thank you.